Maheshwari, first MA English. It speak on life of Shakespeare.
Good afternoon to all. Today I am going to share the importance of lines of Shakespeare. We already know about the Shakespeare. Shakespeare is an iconic role of in the English literature because he wasn't gave a more sonnets and then the important place of important role in the English literature. He was born in 23 April 1564 and he was died in 23 April 1616. He was born at the place of Stratford upon Avon in England. He was an iconic role of in the English literature. He wrote the 37 plays and the 154 sonnets, and then his masterpiece of the work is Hallmark. Hallmark means it is in the first word of the each work is H stands for Hamlet, O stands for Othello, L stands for King Lear, N stands for Macbeth, A stands for Antony and Cleopatra, C stands for Julius and Caesar. These five works of the important role in the Shakespeare, it gives the entire total life changing of the Shakespeare because it wasn't the famous work of the Shakespeare masterpiece and the Magnus Opus, and then on the time the Queen Elizabeth was in the lip of the period era. Queen Elizabeth was admired these works of the Shakespeare. Shakespeare was married to Annie Hathaway. His spouse name is Mary Annie Hathaway. And then he was three children. And then the first child name was Hamlet. And then Judy. And then third child name is Susanna Hall. And then the Hamlet and Judith was identical twins of the Shakespeare. He wasn't same twins, but it wasn't gave the identical twins. One is male, one is the dog, one is the female. Hamlet was died at the age of 17. He was affected the plague disease on that time. It wasn't ruled over of the England. On the time was he lost his sons. On time. Shakespeare wrote the play is the Hamlet. Since it's the Hamlet, it change over the play is what is the Hamlet. The Hamlet movie also is available in the YouTube. It wasn't the famous work of Shakespeare. It is the one of the work of the Shakespeare. And then Shakespeare created the more identical characters of the each and the career life of examples is Othello's Desdemona. Desdemona was most admirable of the love. Desdemona is truly desirable. It is in the true love because whenever the Othello underestimates the Desdemona exposes his true love of the each other couples of the identical. And then Caesar was created the character of the Shakespeare, and then the Juliet and then the Othello is the more people, but is also the differently indifferent of the peoples. And then the Romeo Juliet. Romeo is in the Juliet is the now itself we talk about the Romeo Juliet because it wasn't very famous of the Shakespeare's work. And then her occupation is first of all the Shakespeare traveled occupations with the screen boy. Screen boy only he traveled his career. On the time he gave here in horse, and then he traveled with the horses. He started the career within the screen boy. Whenever in the stage acting plays tense in the Shakespeare work is identically of the boy is we want to open the screen and close the screen. It is the best known of the Shakespeare starting career of the stage performance drama, and then he was interesting to write and works. We want to give him some introduction to the people's of this why the Shakespeare is famous to all the people because Shakespeare gave people's mentality to write. Whenever the Shakespeare work means gave some identical of the people's mentality. People gave some mentality to the life-oriented insurance. This is the one key theme of the Shakespeare to give a life-oriented peoples to the maintain his life and the works of Shakespeare. Like that, the Shakespeare Like that way, the Shakespeare started the career of his life. Then occupation is the screenplay writer, playwright, and then he wrote 154 sonnets. The 154 sonnets split into three types. One is the dog lady, another is the Daligat sonnet, third one is the pulpit. Whenever some people are influenced by the writing, in the present modern writers are influenced by the Shakespeare. Like that way, Shakespeare have influence to the Geoffrey Chaucer, Spencer's, and the Lycans of Homer, Iliad, Virgil. Like these are the people of inspirations to the Shakespeare. Inspirations by the Virgil and the Homer. It is the best known for of the Shakespeare plays. In the modern writers also inspired by the Shakespeare. Even though Shakespeare also inspired by some people often the translation French, Latin more than the languages because of often greater than works. It is also called as the one line of Shakespeare means it symbolize the life-oriented works of the Shakespeare. This is the one line of key theme of the Shakespeare. And finally, Shakespeare concludes his overall life on the tree. Child was died at the age of plague. Like that way, he lost his three child, and then he lost his wife Annie Hathaway, and then finally at the some 60 plus age of the Shakespeare also died with some rarely skin disease like the skin disease way. But in the some critics were says right now the higher of Shakespeare is means the heritage is the Shakespeare is not available today. This is the overall summary of the Shakespeare. Thank you.